Rule of thirds is when you fold your paper or use a grid that's broken up into 3 equal parts. So this one, we're going to break it up into 3 equal parts both directions. So you're going to need to fold or draw very light lines on your paper in a grid of, so it's 3 equal spots. Hot spots are where the lines intersect. These are where you want to put your loops or where your lines cross, so that it is a more interesting composition. Line. You're going to start drawing lines with the loops through your page. You want to make sure that at least one line touches each edge of your page as you're drawing. You want to remember those hot spots where you want to put those interesting things. You also want to make sure that you have the same amount of stuff in each box of the grid. So like this one, there's not very much. But this one, there's a lot of lines. So you want to kind of even it out by adding more lines to each of the areas that need them so that you can balance out your image. This is called visual balance, by having the same amount of lines in each box. Shape. The next thing you want to do is add a second line that is parallel to the lines that you already have. You want to make sure you do this after I have already approved your initial line drawing, so that you don't have to make major changes later. You want to make sure that this line is about 1 finger wide. You want to go through the whole thing drawing a parallel line around next to all your lines. As you are drawing your lines, you can start crossing over where turns should be in the ribbon, so that it makes this process go a little bit faster. So you just cross over the line rather than having it be perfectly parallel. It will simplify your process when making the turns. So you can do these little arches where you want your turn to be to connect the 2 sides and erase. Then you want to look for places where you missed turns, where they should be. You can go through and mark them with a little hash line that crosses through, so that you remember where it goes while you're looking for all these missing turns. You can also start going through the drawing and erasing the parallel lines that cross over the top of another ribbon. You get to decide which side you want to be on top and which side you want to be on the bottom, and erase the opposite or crossing line. Adding value is a difficult thing to do. So in your sketchbook, I want you to draw 3 different kinds of loops and a twisty ribbon. So you're going to draw a loop that has the top part going over the front, a loop that has the top part going behind, and a loop that's kind of folded in half. Then I want you to draw a wavy line, and then go and draw the parallel line to it that crosses through where the turns should be, and add the little arches to it. so that you have a twisted ribbon. Then you choose two different colors. These should be colors that are not very close together. So you want to start by adding the darkest value underneath the ribbon, because that's where it is going to be the darkest. Now, since this piece of ribbon is in the back, there's another piece of ribbon that goes behind it. You want to make sure that it has a darker value throughout. Now, when a ribbon crosses behind another ribbon, there's a shadow on that ribbon that is left behind, so it needs to get a little bit darker right where it crosses over. You want to make sure that your values are smooth. Then when you do the piece that goes on top, since the light source is above, the highlight will be in the middle of the ribbon that crosses over the top. So you want to leave a white spot where that is and make sure the edges or the ends where it's turning is very dark. On the other ribbon, where it goes behind, it stays dark the whole way, and the highlight is on the side pieces of ribbon. Now, because this one goes behind, it will also have a shadow right where it goes beneath the ribbon that crosses over it. This ribbon only has one turn, so the highlight will be closer to the top part where the turn is than towards the center part of that span of ribbon. You want to make sure you leave a white spot where that is, and the side that goes behind stays dark the whole way. You want to make sure that it gets a little bit darker where the ribbon goes beneath the other side. Now for the ribbon that has turns, you want to look at which sides are on top and which sides are on the bottom. So this piece has one side on the top and one side on the bottom. The highlight will be very close to the side on the top. You want to make sure that you plan accordingly when you are leaving your blank spots, because it is very difficult to erase colored pencil once you get it in there. So this piece has both sides on the top, so the highlight will be in the center rather than towards one side or the other. Graphite transfers are an easy way to get your rough draft onto your final draft paper without having to redraw the whole thing. You will rub a stick of graphite around the whole back of your draft so that it can be paper clipped to your final draft paper. Once it is paper clipped and secured so it does not move around, you will start tracing over the top of it with a pen. Your final draft. Once you have finished tracing over the whole thing with a pen, you can remove the paper clips. You want to make sure that you don't press down really hard so that it transfers that graphite onto your paper, because it can be hard to erase. You should choose 2 colors. Choose one color and start at the end of one ribbon. You have 2 different options on how you want to start your drawing. You can start this way by adding value to each segment of ribbon one at a time. You also want to think about, as you're picking your colors for the next piece of ribbon that crosses over the top, you want to think about how those 2 colors interact. So like this section, I wouldn't want to pick green to go there because it will blend in with the green ribbon that goes behind it. So I chose the opposite color so that that piece of ribbon stands out. The other option you have when going through your drawing, sometimes it can get a little boring working in one little area and you want to stick with one color instead of switching back and forth. You can do the ends of each segment with the color that goes in that segment, because those ends will always be the darkest. Doesn't matter if it's on top or behind, they will always be the darkest, so you can go through and do the whole thing this way. So you can pick a spot to start and go from there and work through one color at a time without having the problem of accidentally skipping or not using the correct color in a segment. Because you cannot erase colored pencil very well, it will be very difficult to fix an issue when you have the wrong color in a segment.